Hello and thank you for joining us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Innoson Vehicles Manufacturing Company boss Innoson Chukuma expresses desire to take over GTBank as disagreement between both entities rumbles on despite Supreme Court judgments. Sultan Christian Association of Nigeria and GNI tell President Buhari to save them from killers and bandits. And later on the show, World Bank warns Nigerians that food inflation could keep rising in the country. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mayor Akipelu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Now, we begin the show on a lighter note with the singing twin brothers P Square. A few weeks ago, the group reunited again after 5 years of going their separate ways. Recently, they performed together for the first time in Sierra Leone, to the delight of thousands of fans who had waited for years for this reunion to happen. Let's share some highlights of that performance with you. Okay, before we go to P Square, let me tell you about the versatility of my guests in the house today. That's Jide Otitoju and Mayor Akipelu. It's not only politics that they can discuss effectively, they are all-rounders. Jide spent so many years as an entertainment reporter. He has told me so many of his exploits as an entertainment person. And Mayor, we all know you as a doyen of entertainment in the industry. So let's go to P Square now. Let me start with Jide. Now, what kind of beef, the same father, the same mother, could last for 5 years? That's almost brought these guys down. As far as I'm concerned, they're better together.
Yes, and their fans badly wanted this reunion to take place. When they broke up, Vice President Atiku tried his best to bring them together. Of course, Alhaji Dantata, who gave one of the twin brothers about 50 million on the day of his wedding, also stepped in. Many Nigerians do not know that these guys were not just famous with young people, but they were famous with big people, old people as well. Whenever P-Square went to sing in an African country, I remember when they went to Burkina Faso, it was the president's car that was used to bring them from the airport.
Popular outside.
In Cameroon, if you go to Cameroon, they are more popular in Cameroon than Nigeria. So I'm not surprised that this reunion concert, this concert was done outside our country, Sierra Leone, and look at the reception.
This is a stadium.
Many people got goose pimples just seeing them come together to sing again, you know, and they've told them, look, you've got to wax a fresh album, you know. That is what Nigerians want to see. The boys are very good. They are original. You know, look at their songs. Their songs are immortal. So people can't wait to see the brothers come together. And it is hoped that this time around, as they are coming together, it will be for keeps. It will, they will, no, blood is thicker than water.
Yes.
And blood has prevailed. Family has prevailed. They are not just brothers, but members of, offspring of the same mother. So now
they're coming out from the womb, almost
the same womb. So you know, their mother died. Their mother was their pillar. I'm sure if their mother had been alive, this would not have happened. You know, their mother was their pillar. You know, very talented boys, good footballers, right from Jos. They were in the Pepsi Academy football team. One was a striker, the other one was a goalkeeper. That's where they got to know Mikel Obi. They were the same Pepsi Academy team with Mikel.
I told you
Mikel Obi.
I told you about it.
I'm happy. I'm happy that they're together again. I've known them since when they started living in Amole before they built their own house.
Okay.
And I'm very happy that they are together. You see, it just shows that when it comes to matters of the heart, we must always allow people to follow what they want. The problem started because of some disagreements that has to do with matters of the heart. And Peter wanted to follow his heart. And because, you know, Jude, their mother, like Jire said, was the pillar behind them. But the brother, Jude, was the one that have this like control over the union. You understand? So it got to a point that Jude and Paul, you understand, seems to be on one side. And Peter decided to follow his heart. But I'm happy now that reason have prevailed, because it doesn't make sense for twin brothers to hate themselves like they did at a time. And people may not know it. P-Square, out of all the artists in Nigeria, P-Square is the biggest in Africa. You know, very early they started exploring concerts in other African countries. So they have that network,
fan base.
They have that network and fan base in Africa, and this is good for them, because yes, both of them, they had fairly okay solo careers, but they are, like you said, they are better together. And I think that because the strength that they combine, Paul is better when it comes to singing and composing. Peter is the dancer and the choreographer. You understand? And one of the things that make P-Square tick is their stagecraft. You understand? When they perform, it's electrifying. They because they are good dancers. Peter is a very good choreographer. They were in John Players competition, So when you see them on stage, their stagecraft is another level. It's different from the music. So and individually they cannot reenact that again. So, but together now, I think we are going to enjoy P-Square.
You know, someone was saying that as individuals, they have to queue up behind. The Joe Boys of this world. You know, they'll queue up behind the Olakira and the rest of them. You know how funny to now queue up behind boys who are in secondary school when you were already a big hit. You know, so but now that they are back to reclaim their past, people are so overjoyed, and I know that on the day that they choose to have their concert in Nigeria, it will be unbelievable.
The venue will be their problem.
People are already, in fact, one girl was saying on their birthday that I'm going to sell my father's house to be able to attend your concert the day you choose to do it in Nigeria. So I'm so happy for them because I played my own part in helping Nigerians to know these guys. Because when I first saw them on Channel O, at that time, Nigerians did not really know about this group. They were based in Abuja. They were not really famous. And then I challenged my entertainment reporter. I said, whenever these guys show up in Lagos, go and cover them. And he put them on the pages of newspaper for the first time, you know, through my effort. And the good thing, they now made that reporter of mine their publicist because they could remember the past.
Yes,
that was this boy that put them on the page of a newspaper for the first time in their life. So it's a thing of joy to me that these guys are back and
risen to this level.
Yes, and I'm hoping
I also
that
got to meet them through their former promoter Awiti.
Awiti, yeah.
Yes, so the late
Awiti was their main person, yes. Late Awiti, yes.
Late Awiti.
And then late Peter Thomas too. Late Peter Thomas too did a lot for them, you know, when in terms of publicity. At the time, he was also the one coordinating a lot of things for them.
Yeah.
Those are the people that contributed to...
The big decision they make was to come to Lagos.
Come to Lagos.
You know, but they were in some form of competition with Style Plus. At that time,
at that time,
yes, yes. Style Plus was also based in Abuja, though they were students of FUTA in Akure. You know, they came together as a singing group at FUTA.
Was Style Plus never made it to Lagos?
Yes, no, they refused to come to Lagos, and then the stagecraft that these guys had was the edge that they had over Style Plus.
Yeah.
So they were effectively able to come to the front of the food chain. And people took notice of them and they became such a success. So
because Cyprus had better singers.
Yes, you know. They could sing sonorous voice, Shimfi, and the rest of them. Well put together songs. But if you do not have stagecraft, only one part, you have only one part of the job can be done.
So journalists Hangout on Sunday. Moving on now. The outrage trailing the death of Sylvester Oromoni at Dowen College, Lekki, Lagos, is far from dousing. One of the fallouts of the anger that has greeted the unfortunate death is the protest by mothers of students in the school. The protesting mothers are demanding nothing but justice for Sylvester and his family. Let's share the story with you.
I'm calling on CP Odumosu. The little time you have to spend with us in Lagos State, dedicate this to fishing out the culprits.
Yes.
And the culprits we are looking for are the owners of the school,
yes,
the housemaster, the security guard who opened the gate for the students to go out,
yes,
the parents of these children, the board of directors, regardless of who the owners of the school are, regardless of your position in the society, you have given us nothing but a wake-up call.
yes, sir.
To know now that justice can only be given if you all feel the pain that we feel this morning gathering here.
Yes.
To mourn the death of a young hero, to mourn the death of an aspirant pilot, to mourn the death of somebody who would have made his family proud, and we mothers proud, that the fruit of our labor was not just cut short because of the ignorance of our system.
Yes.
2022, 2021, 2020 is not an era in 1980, 1981.
Yes, so.
Technology is speaking, and technology has become our great evidence. It's so shameful that a school like this that charges exorbitant fees will tell us that they don't have the capacity to monitor children. It's not a crime to put a child in a boarding school.
Yes, sir.
Parents go out to do their job. Parents have to feed their children. And it's not wrong. I went to a boarding school to put your child, pay for the service of your child and the security and welfare of your child,
Yes, sir.
to an organization.
Yes, sir.
We are asking that the government should withdraw the license of this school.
Immediately! 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 Yes! Yes!
Dowen College has had series of criminal records that have been swept under the rug. For years. And we will not take this.
We will not take it anymore.
The only thing that is keeping us cool is the belief we have that the minister, the commissioner of education, the police force, and the governor of Lagos State is going to do justice. Else, we would have burned down this school broad daylight.
Right now.
But we don't want to do that to show that we are agreed. We want to leave it open for them to be able to do whatever investigations that they have to do.
Yes, sir.
This is also a wake-up call for we mothers to learn to build confidence in our children and give our children environments, terms and conditions where they can be open to us and tell us whatever pain. We cannot continue to lose our children. Enough of the killing. So please, everybody in the society have to come together now to help us secure and preserve the lives of our children. All we are asking for is what? Justice for Sylvester. All we are asking for is what? Justice.
I think the management of Dowen College, they would not expect that by the end of this year they will find themselves in this kind of mess. Because to get out of this trouble, this is a big trouble that it will take a long time to resolve, especially if the Sylvester Romani must get justice. And
Yes.
to affect the school's image has been affected,
Badly.
battered. I don't know.
Badly, and for such a high-end school, people will now be careful. People have been alerted to the fact that the school was negligent. The school handled this matter in an irresponsible manner. So you can have a situation in which you have housemasters on campus, and this sort of thing will be happening, and you cannot address it. Instead, you are feeding the public with lies that the boy went to play a football match. That was where he was injured, and then his belly was bulging. He had blisters in his mouth, and even blood, black blood, had caked on his teeth, because he clearly had been punched in the mouth. In fact, some of what we had indicated that even when he was on the floor, he was being kicked by one of the boys. So the school has succeeded in scandalizing, the school management has succeeded in scandalizing itself. Because if not for social media and the fact that somebody took the time to even film the boy even in distress, we would not have known that this was what transpired. A lot of us would have believed the lies that, oh, he went to play a football match and he was injured, this and that. Oh, the boy clearly suffered internal injuries, given the way he was battered.
Yeah. It's a very unfortunate incident. I agree that Bowen did not handle the situation properly. We always have, I went to a boarding school, and I know that we always have incidents in boarding houses. Bullying is a normal thing, happens regularly in boarding houses. But with the duty of the school is to make sure that they put a system in place where the housemaster will be effective enough to be able to stop that bullying. You understand? But in the problem of Dowen, for a school that collects 1 million naira every time, it shows that they are not, those who run the place were not responsible enough to the kids. Because when you have a multi-story dormitory and you have your housemaster living in a ground floor, that does not make any sense. You're supposed to have, an housemaster on every floor.
The housemaster gets there.
That's what I'm saying. You must, because you can threaten the boy not to talk, and the housemaster will not know that. So they're supposed to be, you've collected enough money from these parents for you to be able to provide the necessary things. So I will expect that I will have headmasters in each floor. But having said that, I think that the protest that we've just witnessed now, to me, was unnecessary. Why was it unnecessary? If they had done this protest when the story broke, you understand, and the intention was for them to get justice I will understand that. By the time they did this protest, things have already been done. The Lagos State government had closed down the school. The Nigerian police have started the investigation. All the boys involved have been arrested. The headmaster of that same building.
It's not looking like a cover-up.
Yes, so it's not as if there's a cover-up. It's not as if justice is not be served. Justice was being, the investigation was ongoing, and all the 5 boys involved were arrested. They are in custody right now. And then the headmaster of that hostel is also in custody, and the police are doing that investigation, and government is on top of it. Even the president issued a statement on it. So there's no need again to go there and say the same thing, because the essence of this is to make sure that there's no cover up and that justice is served. But it's obvious that justice has been served. So to me, this is just this is just a social media attraction.
Well, I support their protest. The fact that arrests have been made is no guarantee that justice will be served. We are in this country, we've seen this kind of things happen. And the whole idea is to pile pressure. Let the people in government know that, look, we are not lying low on this matter. We've got to do something that ensures that this does not repeat itself. And I'm happy with the steps being taken even by the House of Reps. They ordered the IG to take over the matter, and they've also mandated their committee on women affairs and youth development to investigate the matter and then come up with appropriate steps that can ensure that bullying in boarding houses, becomes a thing of the past. Let's have a body of laws regulating the conduct of students in boarding house to ensure that we do not have this kind of thing happen again. A lot of them, there may be some attention-seeking fellows amongst the women that you have seen, but there will be those who are genuinely concerned that a mother has lost a child in circumstances that could have been avoided. So let us join the protest to ensure that this sort of thing does not happen again. I guess that is the value that I see in this protest that these people have done. And I hope that the police will realize that Nigerians are watching them. Big people in our country usually don't come to justice. They don't come to justice. They will use their power and everything to ensure that justice is not done. Look at Abba Kyari's matter. What has happened? They will eventually think that ultimately Nigerians will not talk about it again. This is the way we are as a country. The Wadume matter. What has happened? Initially, you see signs as if something, but this is the way we are. So, civil society organizations must rise up and demand that the way we serve the cause of justice changes in our country. I mean, people just have this feeling that if you are a big man, you are connected, that nothing will happen to you. It has to stop.
Can I make a suggestion? I want to advise that going forward, Dowen College and colleges of that nature must realize that you cannot eradicate bullying in school. You cannot. When we were in Nadola Tela College, we were bullied. You understand? I started staying in Hostel C from Form 2. And you have to be very strong to even be able to survive in that street. But the secret of it is that, one, you must put a structure in place. You must have a prefect style, a strong seniors in place who will not condone that. You understand? If when they see bullying, they will report to the authorities immediately. You must have an headmaster that commands respect. And he must be able to be close to the students enough to be able to see that bullying does not happen. If you don't do that, if you have only one headmaster in 3 floors, there's no way there won't be bullying.
All right, moving on now. Home to a confluence of 2 great rivers and the former colonial capital of Nigeria, Kogi State is no doubt a tourism haven. To harness this potential and to make its tourism hub, the state governor Yahaya Bello inaugurated a 9-man advisory council in Lokoja, the state capital, to underline the state government's ambition regarding this. The Director General of the National Council of Arts and Culture, Otuba Olusegun Rushewe, was appointed the chairman of the council. Jide, the name Olusegun Rushewe rings a bell in our tourism sector.
Yes, he's both a tourism and a culture icon, and he's good at what he does. He's experienced. He's traveled across the world for the purpose of promoting Nigerian culture and promoting tourism as well in our country. And the governor of Kogi State took the right decision by headhunting him, though he still serves at federal level, but he has headhunted him to help put those structures in place that will ensure that Kogi State benefits from the undoubted tourism potential. And the governor has also put Dr. Ronke Bello. Dr. Ronke Bello served 3 different Nigerian presidents. She was working abroad when the governor brought her home to serve her state. She was the one who organized the NMMA in Kogi State, and everyone testified that it's probably the best organized award ceremony by the NMMA in their history, because the whole thing was conducted with so much class that people have come to identify with Dr. Ronke Bello. So what is required now is for the modalities to be put in place. Kogi has tourism potentials. Look at the fact that the confluence, the Y-shaped confluence of River Niger and River Benue, 2 of the longest rivers in Africa, actually came together in Lokoja, is one tourism site that can be exploited. Then, of course, Mount Patti, where Lord Lugard had a 2-room residence and office he used at the top of that mountain. He had his 2-room residence at that time, and a lot of the missionaries and even colonial soldiers, European soldiers, were buried in Lokoja. So in different locations there are burial sites of those white people that our people can visit from time to time if they make them a lot better. So this is what our friend Ronsewe, Dr. Ronke Bello and others should be able to work on and ensure that the state generates some level of income from tourism.
Yes. I have no doubt in my mind that the governor made a very good decision, because if there is somebody in this country who is an icon when you talk of tourism, it's Otumba Rushewe. When he was DG of Nigerian Tourism Corporation, he did a lot. He did a lot, and he's well respected all over the world. I had the privilege of witnessing him in Cape Town, South Africa, when he was invited by the world body to deliver a paper. And I still remember vividly that I was very, very proud that this is a Nigerian, because this is a world body of tourism icon all over the world, and everybody acknowledged that this is somebody who knows what to say. So if you can bring that kind of experience to Kogi, I have no doubt in my mind that it will put the necessary infrastructure on ground, and then the plan that the state can execute. But I will want to suggest that while he himself and members of his committee are working on it, the state should also double their efforts to handle security situations, because tourism cannot thrive when the security is bad.
Absolutely.
Security is extremely important for you to encourage tourism. So while they are working on that, the governor should also work more on the security situation in the state.
Now, moving on now. For 2 of Nigeria's most iconic business ventures, It appears that they are headed for a fight to the finish over a legal tussle that has spanned 5 years. That's the chairman of Innoson Vehicle Manufacturing Company, Innoson Chukwuma, said it is certain that it will take over Guaranty Trust Bank. Chukwuma explained that he's waiting for the interest on the money GT is owing him following court judgment to move in and take over the bank. The disputed money is said to have increased to over 32 billion naira due to accumulated interests. Jide, this story here has been on for some time. And I thought by now, both parties would have settled out of court. Because if this thing is going by what the trend we are seeing from the court verdicts, Innoson Chukwuma, the owner of Innoson Motor, might be on his way to claim that bank.
That's impossible.
Okay. So tell us, for the benefit of our viewers, just tell us what went wrong.
Well, it started simply as a case of someone needing some facility from a bank. They approached the bank made money available, and then the bank began to draw. The bank began to charge him much more than it was necessary in terms of interest on the principal
of that facility.
Yes, they began to overcharge him. That's simply the simple word. They began to overcharge him, and then he went to court and successfully proved that indeed the bank had overcharged him. If it was you now, you know, if you had millions in the bank, you probably would not bother. A lot of Nigerians don't bother.
That's 10 kobo,
yes,
20 kobo.
You just say you look away.
Transaction you send.
And banks,
COC.
remember the day we brought a man here and he was demonstrating how banks were stealing from Nigerians because they believe that a good nominal number of Nigerians don't even care. They tell you today they've deducted social amount, you don't care. But some forensic accountant would look at everything with a fine-tooth comb and discover that indeed excess charges had been going on. So this was the case. If the man was not saying that he wasn't saying that he wasn't owing the bank, but he said, "You've overcharged me for so long," and he proved it before the law courts, right up to the Supreme Court. He got judgment. So now the bank is owing him around 33 billion naira. So what then happens? After the judgment of the Supreme Court, you will expect, because that's the final court in the land, you will expect that between both parties, implementation, the modalities for implementation will be agreed. The way it is now, no one knows exactly what GTB really wants. GTB deposed to an affidavit saying that if they paid him that money, that it will affect the operations negatively. But a judgment is a judgment. And no effort had been made to achieve some form of maybe out-of-court settlement and all that, because even the out-of-court settlement will be brokered by the court. The lawyers will approach the court to say, look, we want to have an out-of-court settlement. But no such thing has happened. But you have come out to say, through an affidavit, that if you pay this money, that it will affect the operations of your bank. Then what do you want to do next? Because the court, the Supreme Court, is the final court in the land. I do not agree to Innoson saying that he's getting ready to take over the bank. That is maybe his own way of piling pressure, or what's the language that kind of brinksmanship. Maybe that's brinksmanship, but he has a judgment. And the longer this thing goes on, the higher even the interest.
Let me start by saying that the story is more than excessive bank charges. The story is more than that. What caused the problem actually was that Nigerian customs accused Innoson of over-invoicing and trying to dodge paying the necessary duty. You understand? Nigerian customs was the one that asked GT not to allow him to have access to his account. If you remember, there was a time like that EFCC got involved and Innoson was arrested with EFCC officials, accusing of over-invoicing and all that. So that is a part of the problem. It was customs, which is a legal government agent, who instructed the bank to say, "Look, there must be a lien on this account because this man has not done the needful as per paying duties at the port." Unfortunately, GTBank got involved and obliged and do that. Innoson accused GT to say, "Look, you cannot deny me access to my account. It is not right." That is why they went to court. In the course of doing that, they did forensic research and said, apart from the fact that you denied me access to my account, then you overcharged me. You understand? And we went to court. Unfortunately, GTBank at that time felt it doesn't have a case because they felt, oh, this is a government, it's the customs that said this man has done this. They did not dutifully defend themselves while the man was in court. Unfortunately for them, the man got judgment. By the time they realized that the man has judgment and they went to appeal and later to Supreme Court, those judgments subsisted. I would have expected that GTBank would have looked at it that, look, we are not involved. They were not involved in it. It was the customs and Innoson that had issues. But I would have expected them, immediately they realized that, one, they should have defended themselves when they were in court. They did not do that. They allowed the man to get judgment. Then by the time the man went to appeal court, and the appeal court validated the judgment of the High Court, you understand, they went to Supreme Court. What I think they should do, because the original judgment was 3 billion.
3 billion?
3 billion, yes. It is 3 billion now because of interest. That's ballooned to 32 billion. So what I would suggest to them...
So that means they must hurriedly...
What I would suggest to GTBank is that they have to look at the larger interest. GTBank is owned by a lot of investors, a lot of shareholders. The interests of those shareholders should be taken into account. They must not risk the interests of those shareholders because of dispute with Innoson. So they should go back, they should go into arbitration and see how they can pay the original judgment of 3 billion and ask Innoson to forfeit the interest. No. Let me explain something to you. In the banking industry, it is done all the time. I will give you an example. Femi Otedola had issues with Hamcon. He was owing Hamcon X amount of money. And Hamcon sat down with him to say, look, we are ready to write off X amount of money from this money if you pay the remaining sum. And he did. He paid the remaining sum and all that. If you hold the bank can come to you and structure it because they don't want it to become bad loan. They will tell you to say, look, out of this money, we are ready to write off X amount of money as bad debt, provided you can pay this X amount of money. So I think
that's if you are gentlemanly.
That's what I'm saying.
But a bank that is behaving like this thing never happened.
That's the problem.
How will they get?
They should by court of law.
Yes,
that's what I use the word
from court to court.
That's what I use the word that they
and
should
you
put
are
the
losing.
interest. They should put their interest, the interest of their investors. You understand? And sit down in arbitration with this man and said, okay, fine. We agree to pay the original sum, and this is how we are going to pay it. You understand? They won't pay the 30 million, but that Innoson will take over the bank. No, the bank is bigger than that. There are a lot of interest. For example, if I'm an investor in Guarantee Trust Bank, I've invested my life savings in Guarantee Trust Bank. One Innoson will come and take over because the management of Guarantee Trust Bank had the issue with Innoson. It is the management of Guarantee Trust Bank. They're not the owners of the bank.
The management, they've exposed.
So Jimo Ibrahim now that is about to lose his. That is about to lose the Nikon suit.
That one is different. No, that one is different. That one, collected loan. That one collected loan and didn't pay. And now took over his business.
You are obligated to pay if you are owing a bank. Banks will not spare you when you are owing them. So now the ball. I mean, the shoe is on the other foot now. Banks will not owe you. We've seen banks even push people to their debt because they were owing them. Remember, even water parks. This
No. It wasn't. What was he owing bank?
No, I said banks. Yes, remember. Remember that, and then the other man.
He was owing them. He was owing
people. What I'm saying, the point I'm making is, banks will not spare you when you owe them.
Yes,
they are ready to take over your company.
Absolutely.
They are ready to sell your things, to recover their loan. Even if you are a shareholder in the company, if you are owing them, they will not spare you.
That's what happened to about Todeko.
Okay,
so this is the thing.
To unlock the mystery behind this transaction, we have joining us via Zoom for more discussion on this is Barrister GT Oguye. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
In a very short time, thank you for joining us, GT Oguye. Thank you. And from what you've been reading about the back and forth between GTBank and Innoson Chukwuma, that's the owner of Innoson Motor, what do you make of it?
Well, let me just preface what I have to say with a general background statement. Debts are owed and debts are supposed to be settled. And when debts are not settled quickly, the matter may then become a subject of litigation, arbitration. When it does become a subject of litigation and there is adjudication on the matter from the High Court to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court makes a final pronouncement on it, that judgment is supposed to be binding on all authorities and persons. I reference Section 287 of the Constitution. And regardless of the fact that on this occasion, GTB seems to have a short end of the stick, it is expected that it is going to settle its obligation, more so now that the court has made a pronouncement on it. Now, I've listened to what some of your interveners, including Mr. Otoju, have to say debating this matter. Particularly the custom dimension. All these points could have been canvassed in court, and if they were canvassed and the court still reached the conclusion and the judgment is reached, then they will be of no consequence any longer. And so if the bank were to be the person to recover his debt, it goes to all extent to do so. People have died as a result of owning bank. People have jumped to death in this country because of debt and so on and so forth. They're very familiar with the process. They put companies under receivership with immediate effect. They have all the means, they have all the resources to do that. So now that they are, at the other end now, I think that they should just do what is necessary. Now, the issue for me is that we know that banks engage in reckless charges. We know this. People have been complaining about this. And as we speak, I know that a number of people are still thinking of how can they institute class actions against some of these banks. And there are no sufficient explanation. You have your phone and you have your alert. On a day, you can receive about 3 deductions, 50 naira there, 100 naira there, and so on and so forth, for communication, for all sorts of things that they do not even sufficiently explain to their customers. So if loans are taken and facilities is taken and there are charges here and there and all that, the banks have a responsibility not to engage or indulge in excessive charges, particularly if the accounts are huge accounts. Because I know as a practitioner that there are a number of companies and organizations that hire auditors to see with their bankers to determine whether the charges forced down their throats are really the charges that they should bear. And at the end of the day, you then have staggering amounts standing to their credit that they can then look at their bank in the face and say, look, you've charged us excessively. So GTB, will have to find a way around this because of the larger issue involved. It's not even because of shareholders' monies and all, though self-interest ought to preserve here. But there are larger issues here. Nigeria goes outside Nigeria, the Nigerian government, to talk about investment, the investment climate. There's a rule of law here, which is one of the essential ingredients, that rule of law prevails in an environment where you are inviting investors to come and invest in. And so they want to be sure that if your court should adjudge a dispute, a commercial dispute, that decision will receive willing compliance. And if it doesn't really enjoy willing compliance, that there are processes and procedures in your civil procedure under which those judgments can be enforced. And so on this occasion, rather than Innoson, resorting to this perennial and episodic intervention by saying, I will soon take over the bank, and that's rather far-fetched. If you want to execute your judgment, you know how to do it. Your lawyers know how to do it. Indigence and impecuniosity cannot be a ground, to be pled by a party to say that I cannot do that. That can be a ground to say that we can't pay, then go back to the court to say, help us stagger this payment. All this can be done. There can be post-judgment negotiation and discussion. There can be compromise of even judgment that, yes, we are owing this much, but we can't pay this, what we are offering. And if the parties agreed, the court will not say that they have not acted rightly. In other words, I would want to see GTB not playing this escapist game. It's nemesis or cross now. And so I would really want to see the parties come together to negotiate the matter and then resolve it. More so when they were, there was this robust relationship between them before as bank and customer. And so if they had a dispute of this nature, which had been litigated and adjudicated, it is appropriate for them to sit down and have a negotiation and a negotiated settlement. It cannot be right for any commercial bank or deposit bank or any entity in Nigeria that is not a public sector entity. For the public sector people, we complain about that, about refusal to obey court decisions. Now, for a private entity, it cannot be right for a portrayal of a scoff law to emerge, a portrayal of an entity that is defiant, that is not willing to obey the rule of law. That's not good for its image. And so they will need to sit down to have this matter resolved. That's my take. Because I'm concerned chiefly by the impression that is being created that this entity is too big, is too important to be able to be sanctioned, for it to receive sanction if it is defying the law. And for the parties that is saying is waiting for the debt to be so astronomical as to outstrip its capitalization and its net asset before taking over the bank, that cannot be a way to have judgment recovered. If you have a judgment in your hand, there's a way you do that under the Chivalry and Civil Process Act. There's a way you can do that by garnishing or some other processes, rather than all this pressure that Mr. Told you has so eloquently spoken about, that is being piled on GTB right now, and it's making those who deposit money in the bank to be nursing and entertaining fear that perhaps they may lose their money and all that. That's perfect, but it's important that the parties come together to resolve their issue.
Okay, to summarize this now, from your explanation, can Innoson Chukwuma, can he come out to say, look, guys, you are owing me 30 billion naira, and this is what's taking over your bank, that I'm waiting to take over your bank any moment from now?
What I'm saying is that let me just talk about the law now. If you have a judgment in your hand, and that judgment is so much as for you to believe that the judgment has outstrips the assets, net asset of the bank, what is what and all that, you can go to court and say you want to wind up the company. Wind up the company and recover your debt. The procedure is there. I'm saying that our law is not that lame. All these media blitz is not that's not the thing. So you can do that. You can, under the Sheriff and Civil Process Act, Section 3, say that you want to garnish your the debtor. For example, and I hope that the CBN Act doesn't have a provision that excludes that possibility. If, for example, if GTB were to have some deposit with CBN, for example, and there's no provision in the CBN Act or any other law prohibiting recovery of that kind of money, that kind of liquidity, you know, it's possible under the Sheriff and Civil Process Act for you to say you want to garnish that money, the money of GTB, in CBN's hands. This is what is done every time. Or you can then physically take over some branches and then try to sell it and then recover your money, buy and buy. That can be done interstate. I'm saying that in a civil procedure, there are ways in which judgment can be executed, be you a bank or be you any other. Yes, to answer your question directly, therefore, I'm saying that he can do that, but it is not just by saying, I want to take over the bank. You have a judgment debt in your hand. So if you want to go and execute it. That execution won't come by way of takeover of the bank. That's not what it means. And if that's what it then means effectively at the end of the day, then we'll all see that. But it is not like, oh, you are owing me this much, I'll take over your bank. No, you are owing me this much, that's what it is. I will recover what I have in your hand. And if your asset, your net asset is not sufficient, I will then look for how I can even recover more from your directors or from every other, that kind of thing. That's what I think should be done. But I've also advocated that sometimes you have a judgment in your hand, you realize, the difficulty and the problem that will be associated with executing it. That will call for some sobriety on your part, therefore. And realistically, you then want to sit down with your debtor and say, okay, now I have this judgment in my hand. I can proceed against you. And then everybody wants to have confidence in his banker, in his bank, including those who have 100,000, 200,000 there. So this can be bad business for you. But now let's sit down. Yes, my interest was 22% for the past 11 years. So what was 3 billion has now been ballooned to 32 billion. Now let's reach the middle of the road and then acknowledge that you are owing me so that you don't insult me anymore and all that. So I'll take 17 billion naira. It's all within the powers of the party to compromise a judgment even after execution. That is legitimate even after the judgment is delivered. I mean, that's legitimate, that's appropriate in the circumstances. And since what will be recovered eventually will be way, way, way more than what was initially owed, that lesson will have been, learned, and the appropriate message will have been sent. And then
okay, I'll thank you. I want to thank you for coming to our rescue in that short notice, GT Ogoye. Thank you for that comprehensive analysis. Now we know better now. Trust GT anytime for breaking it down, and now
is already reputed for objectivity and his analysis, and this is exactly what he has done.
Dispassionate.
Yes, he's very dispassionate, and he has let the two parties know the best step to take.
Yes.
In this manner.
Giving them way.
Banks can come and be telling us stories that that if they allow the execution of that judgment to be levied, that it will affect, it will cause disruptions in their business. They do not show. They do not show mercy to debtors. I know.
No.
Even a shareholder in a bank, when they decided to move against him, he was shocked. You know, so banks are usually merciless when it comes to recovering debt. So if you are owing, just as GT said, if it is the bank that is owing, by the same token, they should go ahead and pay. And if you can see that it is not easy for you to pay, then come to some form of negotiation. Instead of unnecessary pig-headedness, come to some form of negotiation with the other party, so that both of you will come to a middle ground and this matter will be resolved. Instead of attacking one another on the pages of a newspaper. After all, as GT said, they used to be nice to one another. Customer and bank, they had done business with one another in the past that didn't go wrong. So if they have issues at this time, they should be able to resolve it amicably.
My position is that I acknowledge that there is a judgment that is subsisting. It has gotten up to the Supreme Court. So GT cannot do anything about it. That judgment subsists. But I think this matter can be solved tomorrow. If GT decides that, look, let's go to arbitration, and arbitration, and they suggest that, look, these are the issues involved. This is the original sum. We will pay this original sum, and we are going to pay it like this. I believe that Innoson will still accept. I believe so. Because
you may not accept, you may not accept original sum alone.
Yes, but
because when the bank,
they have some things to it. But
banks make money largely from interest on loans that they give to people. Yeah. So if it's just the principal alone that they are concerned about, they won't be making money. So the original...
This one is a judgment. What I'm saying, that's why I've explained that I've seen instances. And I've said that
but that person has to be gentlemanly.
If you look at the businessman, both of them, when you are owing, even AMCON, everybody does it. If you are owing a bank, say 10 billion, the original sum, let's say, is 2 billion. You understand? Over time, the interests are ballooned to 10 billion. The bank may decide that, look, because we don't want this thing to be bad debt, or you understand, or AMCON may negotiate on behalf of the bank and said, okay, look, this thing is 10 billion now. Originally, we were owing 2 billion. How much do you want to pay out of this 10 billion? If the man offered to say, okay, look, I don't have 10 billion, but I will pay 3 billion. In most cases, or 4 billion, the bank will decide to say, okay, we will take that 4 billion and write off 6 billion. Provided you give us cast iron guarantee that you will pay the 4 billion. And I think that's what they should come into arbitration.
Yes, I still maintain that GT has done justice to this. Now we understand what they should, the steps both parties.
It's very clear. It's very clear the steps. That
but what another thing that you mentioned, which is what I said initially, is that Innoson should not sit in his house and be telling us that he's going to take over GT. That's not the law.
It's part of filing pressure.
What the law says is that if somebody is owing you, you levy judgment.
Mind games. Mind
games.
If
you don't levy judgment, you can go back to the court.
As he said,
for winding down.
GT under pressure.
Or you can garnish some of the accounts. Those are the law. That is the law.
Money.
So if you sit in your house and say, I'm going to take over GT tomorrow,
he has to pile pressure on them now. It's part of the game.
All right.
It's piling pressure on them.
We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and we have 120 minutes to play with. We'll be right back after this time out. Yes, it's the biggest platform for journalists, and this is Journalist Hangout on Sunday. All that is required for evil to triumph in the society is for men of goodwill to remain silent as the insecurity ravaging Nigeria continues to fester. More prominent citizens are calling on government to take drastic steps. Some leaders in the north, including the Sultan of Sokoto, Mohammed Saad Abubakar, lamented wanton killings in the region and called on President Muhammadu Buhari to stop it. Other groups like the Christian Association of Nigeria and Jamaat Nasiru Islam, GNI, have urged President Muhammadu Buhari to save the people from killers, bandits across. And Jide will be on this issue for some months, and some people will give that impression that they've succeeded in curtailing the activities of bandits. But some have the opinion that, look, these guys are growing more wings, and they have just been doing as if this country is at war, or we don't have any form of government to regulate their activities. So they are running riots everywhere. I read the testimony of a woman that said she saw how bandits burnt 4 of her children. She escaped through, whiskers.
And she eventually died day before yesterday.
Really?
They burnt 4 of her children. They burnt her mom. Then she managed to escape, but she died. She died in hospital. When you go through that kind of fire, it is by miracle that you can survive. Because
so the latest is burning people alive now.
The vehicle was set ablaze. They fired at the vehicle somersaulted and then caught fire. So those who wanted to escape from the fire were then fired at. And it is an individual, Bello Turuji, who is doing this to our people, especially between Shinkafi and Sokoto.
And we can't get the so-called Tuji.
We can't kill Tuji. Instead, they will send us a story of one unknown bandit leader. They will claim bandit leader had been killed. All the major bandit leaders that I know, we have not succeeded in killing anyone. Whether if anyone died, it is as a result of conflict between them, and maybe in fight. No, we have not killed. They have not killed anyone. We have not. We didn't kill Buhari Ndaji. It was Dogo Gide that killed him. Buhari Ndaji was the one who negotiated with the governor of Katsina, who was carrying that gun beside the governor of Katsina. That's Buhari Ndaji. It was Dogo Gide that killed him inside the Dansadao forest after he stole cattle belonging to Dogo Gide's in-laws. And he told him, you stole my in-laws' cattle. I want to take back what you stole to give my in-law. He said, no, that I've sold the cattle. He said, you sold the cattle? Okay. Then he killed him and left his corpse. His corpse was left in the forest for like 4 days before the army retrieved it. So it wasn't the army that killed Buhari Ndaji.
So what
Daudawa was killed the other day because Daudawa claimed that he had renounced banditry. He took the Holy Quran and swore that he would not return to banditry. So after that, the governor of Katsina State began to patronize him. Suddenly, he realized I was not making the kind of money that I used to make in the forest. He went back. As he went back, his rival shot him. Again, it wasn't the military or the police or the civil defense or agro rangers that killed Daudawa. His own colleague in crime killed him. That's what we've been seeing. Bello Tuji, these are small boys. Bello Tuji is not up to 30 years.
So why do you think it's difficult to take
I don't know why. It is a complete failure of intelligence on our part that we cannot locate the exact whereabouts of Bello Tuji and take his life, and is killing our people now,
burning them alive,
burning people alive. Now we are saying, in fact, Daily Trust reported that they sent a ministry to beg him. This same Bello Tuji Ayo, to tell you how the extent to which we have sunk. This Bello Tuji, they arrested his father. He now said, why are you arresting my father? You know me, you know where I am. Why should you arrest my father? Then in anger, he attacked the community and kidnapped people. They had to return his father. They had to return his father. So with having been reunited with his father, he then released some of the people that he picked up in anger. Now, what caused this last one was the bombing by the Air Force. The Air Force targeted some of his supporters, I mean some of his foot soldiers, and they ended up killing a few of his relations in the process. Now, out of anger, he has been attacking community. Sometimes 3 times a day he will attack a community, just taking lives in as a way of avenging the killing of his foot soldiers and relations, including his aunt. So, is it that an illiterate bandit,
sub 30?
Yes, he's the same boy that fired at the what was it called the other day? Fired at the Alpha Jet. He's the same boy. There are still others like him in the area. People like Kachala, you know, who are just doing what they like.
Look at them.
These boys have been keeping those children, those students of the Federal Government College, Sabon Brini, Brini Yauri. They've been keeping them for about 5 months. 5 months. 5 months. Those children are in their hands. So we have no way of bringing these guys, those children, out of their custody. You can imagine a parent not seeing his children for the past 5 months. They've been in their hands, and I know that they move them around. Look at they picked up children in Tegina, Niger State, and those children were released in Kebbi State. From Niger to Kebbi, and it's inside the bush. So some of those children died because they were too young to go through that trauma. Some of them died. So until we descend heavily, what I suggested in the past, I said, let's know that we are at war. In the Northwest, we are at war with bandits. Let's know that we are at war. Let the war, even if it's for 6 months, we know that we want to eliminate these people. It is possible. But doing piecemeal attacks on them, they attack Goronyo in Sokoto, let's go to Goronyo to go and fight them. Oh, they went to Sabon Brini in Sokoto and Isa, let's go there to go and fight them. Oh, and they were sighted at Tureta in Sokoto, let's go to Tureta to fight them. You can't walk like that. We now even have them occupying territories and
collecting tax,
appointing district heads. 2G now has district heads in Goronyo, Sabon Brini, all of these places in Sokoto State.
Mayor, when we have a notorious terrorist like this in our hands, you know, some government supporters, some of our fans will tell us that we should stop talking about terrorists. It's as if we are glorifying them. But day in, day out, we read about their nefarious activities, we read about their exploits, we see them killing Nigerians, maiming Nigerians, burning Nigeria alive. And people still want us to keep quiet. Government still want us to believe they are in total, they are taking, for the fact that they are collecting, what do you call it? That they are collecting taxes from people. That does not mean that they are occupying any territory. That after all, in some places in Southwest, they can say, hey, boys, they used to collect taxes.
Let me say that it's a sign that government has given up. They've accepted a fait accompli kind of thing, which should not be so. Because when you have bandits running riot the way they are doing, the government itself has lost its legitimacy in those areas because they are not the one in charge in those areas. I believe, I said it before, and I'm going to repeat it. I am not a soldier, but I think the strategy we are using is faulty. We can never win the way we are going about it. We can never win. We are just wasting our time. The only way we can solve this problem is for us, like Jay said, to accept that we are in a state of war. And it's not in one state. We have to take the entire Northwest as a region and take on the bandits.
Do you have the capacity?
Yes, we do have the capacity. The Nigerian government has the capacity to do that. What they lack is the willpower to do so.
Why?
For whatever, I don't know. For whatever reason, I don't know. But you will see that this government is, you know, it's the federal government that has this means of coercion to be able to achieve this thing. And they are sending a tacit message that we've given up. We cannot solve this problem. Because when you take bandits, it's not only one person that you are taking on. We have a lot of them.
How can it be as bad as we are sending emissary to go and beg?
It shows that it shows that the Nigerian government has lost its legitimacy to do that. How can you send emissary to a bandit to beg him to please stop killing our people? How can you do that? And you are government. How can you do that?
Small boy.
Because you see, the only way you can take these people on is for you to have the will to say enough is enough. And you will take them on at the same time. I've said that before. If you cannot go to Niger State because what they just need to do is to shift to Kebbi State. If you go to Kebbi, they will shift to Sokoto State. If you go to another state, they will go to Katsina State. You have to take all of them on in those states at the same time. It's not that you will just plot to Kano and kill some people.
If you stop talking about this, we'll be negating the rights that the Constitution gives to us, that we should hold government accountable.
If you want to stop, me, I will not stop. I will not stop. When we say let's improve security, it is to enable all of us be able to live in peace.
Yes.
We've lost friends. Can come in that war in the Northeast, I've lost friends. Friends in the army, I've lost. People think I just talk about those things. He doesn't like the army and all the rubbish that some people say on social media. I've lost friends in the military. Now, I just lost a friend again in Katsina. Dr. Abe, and I said,
honestly, I read that.
Yes, that young boy. We just lost him.
Bandits went to his house.
It's not even, it's those one assassins. Bandits, they didn't steal anything. They're assassins. They're not bandits.
Close to Daura?
They're assassins. Went to his house and he was the only one, you know.
There?
Yes, I think with his security, with his like personal aid, you know. So they didn't even break into the house. They got in. And then it's a case of assassination, that one, all the signs are there. They didn't steal anything. So those ones are not bandits. But we know that even in Katsina, the home state of the president, bandits are running riot in no less than 10 to 12 local governments.
It was confirmed by
the governor himself. The governor said, you are here. It's not Babajide saying it. The governor said it himself. And I've interviewed even traders, these livestock sellers who said, see, the places we used to go to buy livestock, we can't try to go to those places anymore because those places are not safe. So government has to, we've seen Jamaatul Nasri Islam, Khan, people that used to fight one another. You see, all of them are in agreement now that this security thing, if we don't solve it, we are in trouble. So they are begging the president to take action. You know? So it's just, you can't also appoint people into positions and leave them even when they are failing. That's my quarrel with the president.
I agree with that.
If they are failing, if anything untoward happens and you have a DPO there, you have let head roll. That's how people will sit up and do their work.
You don't have a KPI system. No. You just keep them there.
Just keep them there. They are failing, but you don't do anything. You are failing, well, you are just hoping that God will
One
intervene.
Minister of Science and Technology told us one time that we'll start producing pencil at the end of 2020. I don't know where the pencils are. Can you imagine that that would be an achievement? I don't know where he has started producing his pencils now.
He's the only one who can answer that question.
And the person has been kept there.
It still boils down to the president because the buck stops at table. And it is the will. They have to have the will to do the needful in those areas. In a situation where bandits will burn people alive in buses, go into mosque and kill people.
Yes.
I don't think that is
in Niger State they will go into the mosque and kill people.
Into mosque and kill people.
What is their offense?
And we have a president who does not know that should not be acceptable. That should not be acceptable. Because the primary duty of government is protection of lives and property. That's the primary duty of government.
Well, the signs are visible that prices of commodities are skyrocketing across Nigeria. Now, the World Bank and other global financial institutions have warned that the rising food costs is the major factor fueling inflation in the country, since food accounts for about 40% of consumption. In markets across Nigeria, hike in prices of food items is a testimony to that. In this Journalist Hangout weekend special, Nigerians are lamenting over the soaring food prices and calling for urgent intervention. Here's a story by TVC News' Abiola Sholanke.
The National Bureau of Statistics says the annual food inflation rate rose for the 24th consecutive month to 20.75% in October from 20.71% in September. This is as a result of further increase in market prices of food items. Prices of food items, commodities and services such as tomato, yam, onion, rice, garri, as well as transportation and fuel have surged, threatening the purchasing power of the average Nigerian. The country is currently battling high inflation rates, slow economic growth, just as unemployment rates remain very high. The question on the lips of many Nigerians is, how did we get here? From the border closure to the COVID-19 pandemic, rising insecurity and civil unrest, many factors have been blamed for the skyrocketing prices of food items. Others, like government's economic policies, devaluation of naira, prices of fuel and higher taxes, are what many believe to be responsible for the economic downturn in the country. As one of the biggest markets in the state, it is known for flexibility in terms of the cost of major food items. Here, food items are generally perceived to be cheaper when compared to other markets.
Na tetashe be this. Na 9,000 they said. 9,000. Last month, 11,000, 10,000. I they said last month.
During my survey at the markets, I came across Jane Francis, who lamented about the price of food items. Jane lives in Niger, which is about 48 kilometers away from my 12. She's here to get things at cheaper rates, but she says the difference is not so much.
What they are selling in my environment, I live in Niger actually, but what they are selling there is extremely too high. So I just decided to come to my 12 market today. Maybe there will be a difference. But on getting here now, I believe that there is just a little difference. Because even the cost of transportation for them moving in from here down to Aja is so expensive. Calling a basket of tomato for 20,000-30,000 naira, how do we explain it in this nation, Nigeria? What can we say? Are we going to eat only pepper and tomato? Come and see just small quantity of onion.
Jane explained that it has affected her own income badly.
When I'm coming home for holiday, how will it not affect me? How much is my salary? How much is my salary? And if I'm using like half of it to buy things, to stock things home for just 1 weekend or 2 weekends, how do we explain it? And we are saying Nigeria is better. Which one is better in this Nigeria now?
Ibrahim Usman is an onion seller who laments high cost of food items.
The price that our people met at the farm, that's what will determine what we are going to sell. For example, day before yesterday that we sent money to farm. 2 weeks ago, we bought it at the rate of 28 for farm, 30,000. But on Monday that we sent money to them, we were told that the price has increased. That's why we don't have much honor on the ground now. So which has effects in the price.
He says the high cost of perishable foods has eroded their profit margin.
There's nothing like profit again. Because how much from the farm? How much am I selling it? If you too hard money to eat too much, it will cost. You understand? If you too hard money to eat, people will be complaining. And we want just to sell it out, because if it is delay on counter, it will be rotting. We're making loss. So that's as at now, no profit. We are just selling it for people. If we are going to sell the rate to make gain, the price will have increased to 50, 60. That's why we can get our own gain.
Abu Bala is a tomato seller. He gives his own reason for the rise of price of commodities in the markets.
They are saying in the north now, they say there's no basket. I don't understand. Because empty basket before, we are buying 200 for here. I don't understand. But now, we are buying basket now, 500 naira for here. But at north now, they say they are selling basket 1,000 naira. And this basket is from Igbo land and going to bought it. So we don't know the argument that's between Igbo with Hausa. We are now for Harmattan time. Tomato must cheap before. Before now, this basket now, by this time around is 10,900, 9,000, 8,000 when Harmattan has come. But now, they are complaining about the basket.
On his part, Emeka John sells grain at the market. He took us through the prices of foodstuff since the beginning of the year.
Like the big one, 27,000 naira for a bag. While the small one, foreign rice, we sell it for 26,000, 25,500. It depends the quality. While in Nigeria, we have 24,000, 23,000. So we sold it about 31,000, 30,000. But now the price is dropping down gradually. While the small one, we sold it 28,000. Nigeria, 25,000. Like now, the bag of white beans now is 62,000. As was then, that last month, we sell it about 70,000, 72,000. While Olotu beans now is 60,000, 600 naira. Last 2 months, 80,000 naira for a bag.
Traders here at the popular Ojaba market in the heart of Akure, Ondo State capital, are not happy at this moment. This is as a result of low patronage by people who patronize the markets. The high inflation rate is no doubt making them to complain, as prices of foodstuff are on the increase. With Christmas around the corner, these traders hope that things will get better.
Right before it's 30,000, between 28,000, 29,000 and 30,000, but now it's 32,000. The carton of granite soil is around 12,000, 10,000 before. Now it's 14,400. The bag of beans before is around 45, but now it's around 48, even more expensive than before.
Although gone are the days, by this time, market normally boom more than this now. So at least the thing we are buying now is more expensive than what we are buying before. So, and that is that causes why the market is slow for now. At least you can meet me now. Just imagine December is around the corner. See me, I'm the only one staying here. At least if it's gone at the days, people will be rushing. How much is this? How much is that? So on and so forth.
The story is not different with consumers who are also complaining about rising cost of food items.
The price is on the high place. Everything now we are buying is on the high price. If you want to buy ordinary, what's it called, ginger, that is 15 naira. 15 naira, you can't even get it. It's 100 naira now. The fish are expensive. Rice, we don't even talk about that.
Things are just too expensive. When you leave the house, let me go and buy something. Maybe you want to buy 2 or maybe you want to buy 3 things. At the end of the day, you end up buying just one thing, going back home, because things are just too expensive. They're on the high side.
The people hope that things will get better soon. In Kano State, Northwest, Nigeria, the prices of staple food items at the famous Dawanau market differs in terms of color, state of origin, among others. We visited the market to have a rundown of prices of the items. The chairman of foodstuff seller at millet, sorghum, maize and garri section of Dawanau Market, Yahya Al-Hassan, and the trader Mustafa Hamad threw light on the current prices.
Kayan abinci na wani bangare abin da ya shafi wake, gero, dawa, gari kamar yadda
The beans differ in prices. The white one is sold between 35,000 per bag, 37,000, and there is red one which goes for 42,000 per bag. The prices rise and fall. Gari is being sold 12,000 and the smaller bag 10,000 naira. Maize goes for 19,500 naira per bag. Millet 21,000.
The World Bank has warned that food inflation will continue to rise in Nigeria unless factors responsible for disruption of food production in the nation's food production belt, including insecurity, are addressed. For now, Nigerians are going through hellish times as the price of every conceivable food items has gone up geometrically. With the situation tilting towards growth, many are hopeful that inflation figure will drop to a single digit, which was last recorded in January 2016 at 9.62%. Abiola Sholanke, TVC News, Lagos.
If you still don't like this report, I'm sorry, there's no how I can help you. This is reality on ground. We took time out to go across the country to do a kind of comparative analysis of what is happening in the markets. So we're moving towards Yuletide, and our people are expected to be shopping, buying, and doing a lot of this stuff for Christmas and festivities.
But the purchasing power of Nigerians has been eroded significantly by rising food prices. People must survive, people must eat, but because of all kinds of disruptions to food production, especially in our country's major food production belt, which is the northwest and north central, we are facing serious problems. Prices of food items are going up because farmers are finding it difficult to access their farms. Bandits are imposing levies on farmers. Bandits are determining when you can even go to your farm. So it's like the sort of thing
you pay again.
You pay. And when they refuse to pay, they will come and slaughter them. So it's terrible. And the World Bank is warning that we have to fight food insecurity through targeted social assistance and insurance. They are also saying that the country needs to avoid trade barriers and improving access to finance, seed, stocks, insecticide, fertilizer. We can provide all of that for our people, for our farmers. But how about them having access to those farms? If they can't have access to those farms because of insecurity, at the end of the day, we will achieve nothing. That's what we are seeing. And if government has come up with intervention schemes meant to improve production of rice, for example, the Anchor Bros program comes to mind. How come we are still selling local rice at 25,000? Because the way to measure the success of these intervention schemes is through pricing. If the prices are still rising, then the efforts have failed.
Have been defeated.
The whole purpose has been defeated if the prices are still rising. So I just don't understand. We've got to be able to say, yes, there is Nigeria now, we are the #1 producer of rice in the continent. How much are we selling it in our country? 25,000 on the average for a local bag of rice? Even some years back, we were not buying imported at that rate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy the way everything is just going up. And there are some evil Nigerians who go and buy off the farmers in their farms and then go and hide these things, stock them somewhere, hoping that the price will go up. Those are the people that the president describes as middlemen. We've got to also try to identify these people and deal decisively with them because they are contributing to the problem that we have.
So there are government interventions. Yes, central bank has, especially in agriculture. But part of the problem is that is the intervention really working? I don't think so. A lot of people claim to be farmers or to be involved in agriculture just for them to be able to access such interventions, and they are not really farmers. So it's another way of making money to some people.
Some of them are even farmers.
That's part of the problem.
They've not been able to go to their farms, access
but
their farms.
That's the major problem. The main reason for increase in prices of foodstuff has to do with security. We are looking at effect. It's important for us to look at the cause. The cause is the banditry and insecurity that don't allow our farmers to access their farms. And if there is demand and supply, if you don't have enough foodstuffs, the prices will go up. It's a simple thing. So we have to come back to the same insecurity. Government has to solve the problem of insecurity in the country because it has a way of affecting different sectors of the economy.
All right. We have joining us the president of Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, Emmanuel Onora. He joins us live via Zoom for more on this discussion. Thank you for joining us, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Ayo.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me this afternoon. Thank you, Ayo. Thank you, BKO. And thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Emmanuel, how much are you selling a loaf of bread now? The standard loaf?
Oh, well, it depends on the loaf and the size that you are referring to. We have different variants of bread. For instance, the normal family size bread, which is the regular one that we slice and eat every morning in our homes. That one goes for the minimum is, I think, 400 naira. Then there's a max of between 500 and 600, and in some extreme cases, 700, depending on the brand quality and the market trust of the bread in question.
Okay, the bread, that family-sized bread, sometime last year, I was buying it for 250 naira.
Family-sized bread.
The family-sized bread. Today, it's being sold in Akute, where I live, for 750 naira. What is responsible for this huge jump from 250 naira within a year to 750?
BKO, it's a no-brainer. Even we as bakers, we are suffering. You know, we are suffering. The reason why the bread you are eating today has increased, especially for premium bread, is because there has been a torrential increase in the prices of baking material. For your information, know it that all our inputs in bread making, all of it are mostly imported into this country. You know, so once there is volatility in the FX market, and this thing affects the supply chain and dovetails into increase in price for the people that are importing into the country, then there's going to be a backflow to us. And then what do? You know, you weigh your costing and look at it. Of course, we are operating a perfect market in bread making, and then you try to pass on the cost just minutely. What you are seeing as cost of bread today is not the actual cost. Let me be very factual with you, because if we want to sell bread the way it is, the average, the normal sliced bread should be going for maybe 700 naira. But on our own part as Nigerians, we know that there are challenges everywhere. So we are trying to ensure that we work within what people can afford in Nigeria. So that's it basically.
But it keeps rising. Is there nothing that can be done? Because to move from 250 to 750 is crazy.
That's 100%.
Like I told you, 250 to 750, it depends on the the bread you are talking about. I've told you that there are different categories of sliced bread, and there are different weights. If you look at them, some of them are in a regular 700 pack size bread. Of course, we go for 400 naira. You know, it comes in grammage. Then if it cascades to become 800, you now begin to get it at between 450 and 500, depending on the brand equity and then the market trust. You know, some of these breads, some of them have very strong, like the premium bread makers. We have some of the bread that have very strong brand equity and market trust. And then there is a 900 gram pack, which goes for as much as maybe 650, 750, depending on, like I told you, the market, the market trust and the brand equity of that particular brand that we are talking about. So it's not all the bread that are 750. So just say cascade it from maybe between 400 to 600.
Let's talk about the inputs and how the prices of inputs are rising. Specifically now, so speak to those inputs in bread production.
Well, you know, when I talk about the inputs in bread making, it bothers one because we are all Nigerians, you know, and we have brothers and sisters that eat bread. Let me just give you an instance. Between last year and between January this year and now, the price of flour in January this year was 10,300. Today, it is going for about 21,000, in some places 21,500. That's about 100% increase in that price. Sugar was 13,600. Today, sugar is 22,000 naira. Softener that we were buying for 300,000 for a 25 kg a drum, it's now going for 600,000. A yeast that we're buying for 5,000 naira, it's now going for 80,000. In some cases, the high net worth brands are going for 20,000 naira. Then you talk about diesel. You know, we run mechanized bakeries. We use a bit of electricity and diesel to do the most of our baking. Most of our ovens are being fired by diesel. Diesel at the beginning of this year was how much? About 190 naira. So but today, diesel is 340, 350. And that is how the input has increased cumulatively from the premium bread makers. Our input has increased by 153%. But in the real sense of it, we have only been able to increase prices by 17%. So you can see the disparity, and that is why you see bakeries are closing in droves. About 40% of my members are closing shop, and it comes with attendant job losses. Job losses comes with exacerbation in insecurity and all that. And people that are even operating, most people are now operating at maybe 50% capacity. Because one, the expendable income in people's pockets is being eaten deep into by inflation. Due to post-COVID, there are no jobs for so many people. And then there is no money in people's pockets. You understand? So look at it. It's a tough time for us as premium bread makers. It's a very torrid time. I'll use my own bakery as an example. It's very, very tough. You know, between last year and now, this financial year, you look at it, people are losing maybe sometimes 40 million, 50 million. You are even augmenting to continue to sustain production unknowingly until you call in your consultant, your finance consultant, to come and look at what you are doing. That is when you begin to look at the figures. We are hemorrhaging, we are bleeding, and in the midst of all this, you know, the government is not even helping. You understand? The government is not helping. Even the state government is not helping. For instance, in Lagos State, for instance, we have more than multi-agency regulation. We have about 13 of 15 agencies regulating us. For instance, you have the Ministry of Environmental Development charge from the Ministry of Environment. You have the sign and post. You have the vehicle branding. You have the space permits. You have the food handlers. You have the food permits. You have off and on. You have parking permits. You have TV and radio license. You have LGA annual papers. And then in between now, they have introduced one again. They call media. I don't know where those is coming. This is Lagos State for you. There is the federal government. There is LASMA. There is VIO. There is Federal Fire Service. All these in just a loaf of bread. All of them come with their own mixed baggage of problems to you. There's the Lagos Safety Commission. And as an association, you know, we are in the situation where we are almost gone bust. Recently, 3 months ago, we wrote to Mr. Governor complaining about the problem we are facing as an association. Precisely on 14th, I submitted the letter myself at Alausa. I made sure that it was stamped and everything. Till today, as we speak, my brother, nobody from the Lagos State government has been able to get across to us. Last week here, we issued a statement signed by myself and the PRO. What are we issuing this statement for? We issued this statement so that we'll call the attention of the state government that look at the kind of suffering we are passing through as bakers in Lagos State, because very soon, because of the way they are charging, or the prices of bread are going to go up again. Up till now, as I speak to you, Mr. The letter was received by them. They have not been able to talk. They've not been able to call us to say, look, oh, what is it that is your problem from Lagos State here? What is it that you are suffering? You know, we even did a press conference. It was, the press release was everywhere. We made sure that it went online.
Let's allow me accountability.
Sir, I've listened to you. So what do you think can be done to reduce the price of bread? What are the things that can be done that will make it possible for bread makers to reduce the price of bread?
Okay, first off, Mayor, let me just finish. Please, just give me this time to finish this. You know, like I was telling you, this whole thing comes, there's a build up to the whole thing. You understand? I'll come back to that question and answer it. So, till now, nobody from the Lagos State government has been able to call us and say, look, you are engaging us. And the moment we go out and say we want to protest, they will come and say these people are opposition and all that. No. You understand? So, let the Lagos State government know that we are suffering.
So what can be done? You just want the Lagos State government to know that you are suffering?
Yes.
So what can be done? What are the things that you think can be done for you to be able to reduce the price?
At least the prices shouldn't be rising the way they are rising.
One, let me say this. Due to the intervention of our association, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, and the Master Bakers, we've been engaging the federal government at that level. We've been engaging the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, and the millers, because we complained seriously to the federal government, and the federal government, through the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you. Keep talking.
Okay. So the federal government, we met with federal government 1, 2, 3 times with the millers. We complained seriously about the prices of flour. There is a particular levy they call Wheat Development Levy, which is 15% of the amount that they pay on wheat import. This levy was introduced in 2012 by the Jonathan administration as a way to support the government's in-country capacity in wheat production. That was supposed to last for about 2 years, and then it ceases. But up till now, the federal government is still taking that money, that levy from wheat imports. In fact, the millers are paying about 30% on wheat importation, and we are telling the federal government, please, can you remove this 15% from the wheat import from the millers? If you do that, it will now lessen pressure on them. I think this will help to stabilize and maybe practically reduce the price of bread, because flour and sugar are our major inputs. Both of them constitute close to 75% of our inputs into bread making.
I want to thank you. Mr. Emmanuel Onora is the president of the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, for that insight into what is happening in that industry. And what can we say? People eat bread a lot in Nigeria. That's a major statement.
Yes, because
I think after rice, bread is probably
something that's
food that goes around.
That family size, I pray it doesn't get to 1,000 naira.
No, the rate is going, because if I was buying it at 250 sometime last year, and it's moved from 250 to 750, then one should be really concerned. And just as he said, the key inputs in bread production, the prices are going up. If we can't keep those prices down, there's no way, even in the next few months, the price of bread won't go up again.
That's why maybe I would suggest government intervention in that sector. Government can assist maybe by reducing whatever
It can't
the
just be
taxes
that
on
sector.
wheat. Since wheat, sorry?
We can't just be that sector alone. We are talking about
because we are still talking.
We are buying a crate of egg now for 200
naira.
Because one egg now that used to be 20 naira for 100 naira.
We are talking food security now. It is the government cannot afford the Nigerian people to go hungry. You understand? Yeah. And bread is a staple food for a lot of people. Apart from rice, just as there was federal government had this massive intervention into rice production. You understand? They should consider something like that when it comes to bread. I'm not saying that they should give them money, but they can through tax relief, they can bring down the cost of flour, which seems to be like the major input into the production of bread.
We are not producing enough flour here.
No, we are not.
So some of what they use would have to be imported. Now, if the government does not ease the burden on importers, then the price will continue to go up. It will definitely continue to go up.
I think we have
then, of course,
flour mills here.
They are not producing enough.
But they are not producing enough. We have a large we were talking. It's the same thing.
Even rice too. We are not producing enough.
Rice, yes.
We are not producing enough to feed.
Nigeria is doing a lot when it comes to rice, but it's just that we have about 200 million population, so the quantum of food that you need is huge. So that's the problem. It's not as if
and then forex. Just as he said, the bulk of what they use are imported. And we have seen the naira slides dangerously against the dollar. There's no way to not affect the...
In fact, that's what is affecting it.
Jide, are we saying at the end of the day we might have to do something about our population?
No, we can't do past that. We can't do something about that.
To do with the population.
There's nothing we can do about that.
I even think that the population figure of Nigeria is exaggerated.
I believe so too.
Really? We are not up to 200 million.
We are not 200 million.
I can bet with my life.
We are not up to 200 million.
We are not up to 200 million. It's just an estimated...
Because the last time we did census, we were 2006. Huh? The last time we did census, we were 70 million.
It's meant to be 10 years.
And I don't think...
It's an estimated... It's not a product of census.
Yes, we've not done census in a long time.
Yes, since 2006.
For it next year.
2006, we have not done
next year's budget.
The thing is estimated, but it is clear that we are not that many. I know that we are not that many.
But we have, this is a huge country with a
it
large
is.
population.
Maybe in the region of 120, 140. I don't think that we are up to 200 million.
But even that, that population is still huge. To take care of such population.
We have pressure on our infrastructure. We have several other factors.
But what do we do? Population growth is also a key factor in economic growth. There are countries of the world that, because you need to have
we're not leveraging on our population.
You see, if a country like Russia, for example, they are even giving their people incentive to procreate, to have children. They are giving, even France too. They are giving people incentive because people get married and they tell themselves that they are not going to have children.
To enjoy ourselves,
you know, population. If you have a huge population, it's an asset.
Now, yes,
it's an asset.
You know, before China was paying people to say you must not have more than a child. Now they've changed that policy. Yes, they've changed that policy now because also they need more people to be able to meet up with the economic growth that's happening in China.
And the same thing in Germany. That's why they are even looking for laborers from Africa and other places, Germany, Canada. You know,
Canada,
they are looking for workers. They are working class.
I think they have kind of aging population.
Yeah, no, the working class is aging, so they need to freshen it up by bringing in
look at the number of our
young people. We are encouraging our people to come into their country and help in the big corporations.
Because of this COVID that has kind of slowed some people down. Some people, I know that part of their 2022 projection is to leave the country.
That will solve the problem.
Fast.
That will solve the problem.
The insecurity.
Because there are no jobs in those places that are going to. I can tell you that for free. that won't solve the problem. Anytime you travel out of the country, a lot, you will see that there are it's not as if it's easy. The jobs that are available are just jobs that you just get by.
But if you tell a young man, you don't need to leave
your country because of that.
If you tell a young man now, we want to go to Canada, you want to go to America. If you have a good job here, you will leave.
I tell people,
they said no.
If they make the kind of effort they make outside the country, if they make such efforts here, they will succeed. There, people do multiple jobs. People do many jobs that they will not touch here.
Because there are jobs available.
So many people are not taxed enough here.
So many people want to work here.
They will almost kill you with
yes, so many people want to work here. But where are the jobs?
Unemployment is now around 45%.
I agree that unemployment is a major problem. Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, too, people have to be creative. People have to be creative because like, there was a time, for example, I can't see why a young viral man cannot be an Uber driver.
It's not dangerous to be an Uber driver. They're killing them.
You don't need to. No, that's exceptional cases. You can't sit in your house and say there are no jobs when you can be an Uber driver, for example.
Wow.
Where you can go into farming, for example.
Yes. Government also needs to encourage young people to go into farming. Give them incentive.
That's what. Yes, but the central bank did that. We have a lot of interventions, but it didn't really work.
No,
because young people don't really like farming. That's the reality.
They want mechanized
farming. They just want money.
They want.
They don't really like farming.
You know,
farming is interesting, but it's a lot of work.
Senator Judu wanted to. He told the story of how he tried to attract one of these government intervention and agric to his constituency when he was a senator. They abused the hell out of him, that he should bring his own children to go and farm. You know, they abused the hell out of him. All they want is, okay, take the 10,000 naira and keep. That's what they want. But there was someone trying to get...
when we were growing up, there was a time in
Nigeria, them go into farming and make money.
We have people doing apprenticeship, you have people vulcanizer, you have people panel beater, you have mechanic workshop.
People would rather be riding Okada.
No, because our priorities are, the priority is different now. Because we've lost our values. Before, people value hard work and good name. If you get involved in crime, even members of your family will be against you. Now, the thinking for our young people is just for you to make it, no matter how you make it.
Do Yahoo.
So when the society accepts that as being the norm, why should our young people want to work? Because when you want to be a farmer, the intervention is still there. Even out of all the loans that you can get in a bank, it's the agri loan that is the cheapest. It's the cheapest. And there's a lot of things, but the problem is that a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of our young people don't want to really do the hard work that comes with farming.
They rather do Yahoo. All our artisans, you know, these days you are building a house, you go and bring people from Togo, people from Benin Republic.
Yes.
Our people, they are not ready
because
for
we've lost that. You know, before there's a chain that produces people like that. You know, people that
I can tell you that there are some of them artisans who have given it up and they are now riding Okada.
Yeah.
Bricklayers who have given it up, tilers who have, they are now riding Okada.
Now bring tilers from Togo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we used to have them in abundance.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But no, people don't want to do such things anymore.
No,
just do Yahoo.
It comes with hard work. If you want to do your POP, for example, and you bring in people from Republic of Benin or Republic of Togo, they will come in, camp in that building, and do a good job for you. But if you want to get your own people to do it, they don't want to do that hard work. That's the problem.
Mayor, we have to leave it there. We have to leave there. Mayor Akipelu, the Prince of Ikorodu, it's an honor to have you here this Sunday.
Thank
you for being part of the show.
Thank
you. Another one from the Metro, wonderful production in the last 120 minutes. From the Metro himself, Babajide Kolade Stoju.
Thank you.
Thank you for always being on top of this. Ahead of this 120 minutes on Sunday, we promote it every day. I will tell you that if you just take time out from 1:30 to 3:30, it will be worth your while. And that's our offering this Sunday. Join us tomorrow for our regular episode of the program at 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcasts of this episode tonight at 11:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.